Welcome to the next video in my series meant to introduce and review the various Latin uses of the subjunctive mood. The subjunctive mood is used in a variety of different types of clauses in Latin, each with its own way of translating it, and there are certain clues to help you recognize each one of these uses. These videos will teach you 1. What a specific use of the subjunctive is trying to communicate, 2. How to recognize this use of the subjunctive, and 3. How to translate the subjunctive. This video focuses on the purpose clause, sometimes called the adverbial clause of purpose. A purpose clause is a subordinate or dependent clause that explains why the action in the main or independent clause was taken. It offers the goal of the independent clause. For example, you are watching this video so that you can learn about purpose clauses. So how do we recognize purpose clauses? As I already stated, the purpose clause is a subordinate clause and the main verb in this clause will be subjunctive. The subordinate clause will be introduced by the conjunction ut. If the purpose clause explains what the main clause was trying to prevent, so it is a negative purpose clause, the purpose clause is introduced by the conjunction ne. The subjunctive verb will always be in the present or the imperfect tense. For example, these two sentences have purpose clauses. Imperator Caesar Octavianus divi filius pugnavit ut princeps esse. Marcus Antonius pugnavit ne Octavianus eum expelleret. How do we know these sentences have purpose clauses? There are two subjunctive verbs in these sentences, both in the imperfect tense, esset and expelleret. They are both in dependent clauses introduced by ut and ne. Both clauses explain why the independent clause's action happened, but the second example says what it was trying to prevent because it was introduced by ne. So how do we translate these clauses? In English, purpose clauses can be introduced by one of two conjunctions, in order to, or so that. If the subject of the main clause is the same as the subject of the subordinate clause, as in the first example, you can use in order to. So we can translate the first example as, the commander Caesar Octavian, the son of a god, fought in order to be the leading man. If the subject of the independent clause and the dependent clause are different, like in the second example, we must use so that. Our second example can be translated as, Marcus Antonius fought so that Octavian would not expel him. Because this is a negative purpose clause, we can also use lest instead of so that not. Our translation becomes, Marcus Antonius fought lest Octavian expel him. Admittedly, lest is an old-fashioned word, so you may not want to use it lest you confuse your reader. You can also use so that in the first example, where our translation becomes, the commander Caesar Octavian, the son of a god, fought so that he could be the leading man. So to review, let's look at a third example. Augustus Tiberium cum legionibus ad Germanium misit, ut filius imperium Romanum defenderet. How do we know the sentence has a purpose clause? We know it has a purpose clause because defenderet is in the subjunctive mood and in a dependent clause introduced by ut. And so how do we translate it? Augustus sent Tiberius to Germany with legions so that the son would defend the Roman Empire.